Kenny, I never met him. This is my first time meeting Kenny the man. My first time.
I hang out with him.
But I've seen his advertising, his signs, his brand is everywhere.
If you've ever seen these bus stops, that's Kenny. So I don't have a car. Kenny doesn't have a car. He drove that scooter over here today. Let's go meet the mentors.
All right.
Okay, we're here in Chinatown. I have the best of the best. I have Kenny Truong, and I have my mentors, Eric and Greg Devine. And today, we're gonna talk, and we're gonna hear from both of them on how they got to where they are and where they're going. Let's do it.
Kenny, I have a question for you. Born and raised in Oakland, one of the most successful agents in the Bay Area. What changes have you seen in Chinatown, and what could you talk about?
Like in Chinatown, it's kind of like in its own little bubble in a good way. Culturally, hasn't changed too much, which is kind of good. Like all the shops have been open for very long periods of time, not much turnover. So like the staple of my favorite restaurants growing up from 10, 15 years ago, most of them are all still here. But more recently, there's been like a lot of apartment and condo buildings. So there's a lot of growth right around Chinatown, but it's kind of cool where in Chinatown, like it feels at home for many people that's lived there for a long time. So it's in there, not too much change.
The landscape of Chinatown, Oakland appears to be changing right before our eyes. Would you agree? What are you seeing?
I mean, they're starting to develop. I mean, in the last 20, 30 years, not much has changed, but just in the last 3 or 4, there's probably easily like a couple thousand new homes being built within the last 3 years. A lot of high rises and mid rises. It hasn't quite changed the demographic of the core Chinatown, which we really like. There's no like new franchise or chain restaurants in here, so it really keeps the heart and soul alive of this area.
Well, we have Renaissance Plaza is pretty much one of the hearts of Chinatown. They've put another building right here. Is that going to take on the same form as Renaissance Plaza, or is it going to be something separate?
Something separate. So Renaissance Plaza, don't know the full history of it, but that's right literally in the heart of Chinatown. The building, I believe just like 801 Webster. But one side of the Renaissance, like one entire, the north side of it is mostly BMR.
Okay.
So when they built it, they had the intention of supporting the kind of like the local, affordable living for the locals.
Can you explain what BMR is?
BMR is below market rate. So the rents are, or buying the home, the price, the value is capped. So it lets people get into certain areas for a much lower price, but it's locked in where they can't sell it for a higher price. So a lot of new construction nowadays is almost a requirement, whether you're in the city or over here in Oakland, where they tend to allocate about 15% of all the units inside the building to be BMR, or if not, they will allow a big developer like to build one of these tall high-rises, but they have to invest funds in another part of the city where those funds can be used to build a lot of BMRs.
Kenny, I never met him. This is my first time meeting Kenny the man. My first time.
I hang out with him.
But I've seen his advertising, his signs, his brand is everywhere. So I want to just say congratulations to Kenny for building a strong business, and we see nothing but numbers in the future.
Any real estate agent under 40 years old, you know who Kenny is. I literally joined Climb Real Estate because of Kenny. Door knocking and seeing his signs, fast agent. I looked it up on my phone. Fast, who is this guy? I remember telling you, and Kenny gets a lot of hate. I know, because I read his comments, right? I read his comments, he gets a lot of hate, but if you don't have haters, you're not really popping, right? Wow. That's how the saying goes.
With success comes hate.
With success comes hate. I mean, and hate is a topic right now, especially where we are.
Right now, violence against Asian Americans is spiking across the
about 2 attacks on members of the Asian American.
Hate crimes against Asian Americans in major U.S. cities.
It's something that I see happen, but it's been increased. Obviously, Kenny invites me to his house for New Year's, so we don't have that kind of, we don't see it amongst us, amongst our circle. But when you watch the news, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now.
What do the haters do, Kenny? What do the haters do?
I mean, this is a while back. It's Oakland's always been a kind of shallow. San Francisco had a bad rep for being like a sketchy spot, but when the market started picking up and starting to become gentrified, different people moving in, income levels started coming back. A lot of people were very unhappy about that, the speed of that happening, people being displaced. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of the market. By putting myself out there, being one of the, I think, the most well-known agent in Oakland with 100 bus benches, with my branding and stuff like that, has put me in the spotlight to be a target for that conversation. Yeah, I was getting on Facebook, I was promoting new development and things happening in Oakland, had all my bus benches, and people started just ripping them apart, tagging on them, destroying them, 20, 30 of them a month. And online on Facebook, the conversation, a lot of hateful comments, a lot of death threats, just crazy stuff. And then I spun that around. I don't think they like that and take it that seriously. I spun it around in funny ways, well, maybe think about down payment program, here are some links to this. So I kept doing that, and then that made me pretty notorious in Oakland when I was first starting off in the third year in the business, when I was trying to take offline where online, but then that's what people knew me by. And then for a couple of years, I had this whole campaign where I was promoting all these fast Asian bus benches, and I flipped them into yellow and blue for the Warriors, but people were just tagging them up and talking crap. And then that was going on nonstop, but then somehow it just drifted off. I forgot at what point. But if you guys check out Instagram, you can check out #FastAgent. You'll see a bunch of the.
Can you spell that for me?
They had a whole.
People have problems. They need to find somebody to blame. They need it makes people feel good to pinpoint their issues.
And they thought he was an implant, but little he went to Oakland High.
Probably lived there longer than 95% of people that didn't like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But when you have like myself, my brand as a talking point, at least it gets the conversation open. Kind of like now we're doing this video to raise awareness in a way that was negativity, but at the same time it's also to raise awareness to that. There's a lot of different articles out there on that. The National Association of Realtors demographic of the average agent is a 57-year-old Caucasian lady, which on a college degree. So what's it like being a young Black real estate agent, entrepreneur in the East Bay?
You know what? I didn't think about it much until I started working for a bigger brokerage. But having those two things against you, being young and Black, it's a difference. But once you look at the history of America and just knowing in the 60s that we were able to buy homes, it puts things in perspective for me. So once you kind of know that, you are paving the way and you kind of are history, once you know that that's your purpose, it makes it a lot easier. And then once you have people that support you, like Kenny, like you guys, who tell me that, hey, look, this is something that you can do, and don't even focus on the negative, it makes it that much easier. Big time. Yeah, I got the Safeway ads from Kenny. The Safeway dividers, that was from Kenny. So yeah, like he said, we can show people now.
Thank you. On that, I think we're ready to eat this delicious food. Yes.
Looks good.
You got to get. See, my dad taught me.
Use the chopstick.
My dad taught me how to use chopsticks.
We don't need the fork.
And let me let y'all know something. You don't, when you're in Texas, all my friends and family in Texas, you don't take them out. My dad used to do just like this. Don't take your chopsticks out and rub them together and all that stuff. That's bad manners. Okay?